Welcome, welcome, welcome to Exhale and Believe. I'm Valerie, your host. Here you will be able to hear of challenges, processes, and victories of everyday people. This is to encourage, inspire, and uplift you through the things that life can throw at you. We want you to let go of anything you feel negative and change your thinking and believe you have the power to rewrite your story. Challenges may make life interesting, but overcoming them is what makes them meaningful. So don't stay stuck in the valley. Don't compromise your integrity. Command your destiny and navigate your journey. If you are watching the replay, welcome and thank you. Also, could you put in the comment section #replay in the time that you are viewing? I want to make sure that I have a good time slot for the majority. You also could put suggested times that we could consider. If you have questions during the live for me or the guests, please feel free to ask them. They are all welcome. So my guest for today will be Miss Sabrina Moore. Sabrina will share how her journey allowed her to grow closer to God, gain a better understanding of life, and how this has changed her focus as a wife, mother, and a sister. Today's show is sponsored by Manu Williams of Weichert Realty. Thinking of buying a home or selling a home in the Northern Virginia area? If so, give Manu a call. With over 15 years of experience, she will guide and support you through the process. Manu always put 100% into her helping her clients, and her motto is exceptional service every time. Contact Manu at 571-264-7217, or you could email her at manuwilliamsrealtor@gmail.com. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday today. I got my nap in, so I'm good. Well, I want to thank Sabrina. I want to welcome Miss Sabrina Moore to the show. Hi, Sabrina. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Let me change my view here.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so Sabrina, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina Moore. I currently reside in Dumfries, Virginia. I'm married to Tony Moore. I've been married for almost 20 years next month.
Wow.
We have one son who has just left us for college. So we are empty nesters right now. So we're just living and enjoying our life and enjoying God. First of all, we have to put him first for everything. So that's me. That's who I am.
Yeah, we thought we were going to be empty nesters, but she decided to stay to do 2 years in college. So we couldn't ship her off like you did with Aaron. But so proud of Aaron. You know, he's a wonderful kid.
Yes, thank God.
Yes. Okay, so let's jump into your story. So you are a stage 2 breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
And me and Sabrina, we go to church together. So she was diagnosed a few years before I was. What year was it, Sabrina?
2012.
Okay, so she was diagnosed in 2012. And, I saw her. She would come into church all the time. When her hair came out, and she always walked with the confidence that she does before she was diagnosed. I had just got to the church, so I really didn't know her personally like that, but I saw the character, that she walked in. So when I was diagnosed in 2015, she was the first person I called, freaking out on just different things and asking questions. And she was always there to just, give me a shoulder, to guide me, to support me. So part of the strength that you see in me, it comes from, Sabrina's walk. So Sabrina, I'm going to let you start from when you first found out you were diagnosed and, continue with your story there.
Okay. Well, I was first diagnosed with breast cancer in July 10th of 2012. Um, 3 years prior to that, when I would go and get my mammogram, they would always say, okay, we need you to go in and get a biopsy, but they always came back benign. So I'm like, okay, well, this one is going to be benign also. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. But in February of 2012, on the job that I was working at that time, they were getting ready to do a layoff. And I was like, oh no, I can't be laid off. And there were positions open in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I went to my supervisor. I said, hey, I want to go to Afghanistan. And everything was good. Went through the physical, went through all the paperwork, did all the training, and I was good to go. Everything, weight right, BMI good. And I was like, okay, but I'm still waiting on my results from my mammogram. So I had to go back on July 5th to get another biopsy down at Mary Washington in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I was there from about 7:30 that morning until like 4:30 that afternoon. And of course, I wasn't pleased because they kept going back and forth. Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that. And I just told them, hey, if you all haven't done everything you need to do by now, you won't get it done because I'm not coming back up in here. So around 4:30, when I left that evening, that was it. I'm like, whatever they didn't see, they saw, whatever, I'm not coming back. So they told me to come back that following week to get my results. So I went back on July 10th. And when I went into the office, it was very strange because I had never been in a doctor's office. And the nurse came to the door rubbing my hand and was like, oh, Miss Moore, we're so glad to see you. We're glad that you decided to stay with us all day last week. I was like, what's going on? Something isn't right. So she took me. I didn't have to sign in. They just took me straight to the back to the counseling room. I was like, oh, Lord, what are they getting ready to tell me? So the doctor came in and she said, Miss Moore, she said, unfortunately, your results came back and you have ductal carcinoma in situ invasive breast cancer. I said, I have what? And she said it again. I said, no, you got my paperwork mixed up with somebody else. Those are not my results. I said, no, you got to go back and look at this. And we went over that for like 30 minutes. And she was like, Miss Moore, you're in denial. Do you want some tea? Do you want cookies? I said, I'm not in denial. You all don't know who I serve. I said, my God is not sick and don't have breast cancer, so neither do I. So why are you guys telling me this? And I said, I'm not accepting that. So they went back and we went back and forth, I know for at least an hour and a half. And the doctor, she got so upset at me until she left. And she said, the nurse is going to take over from here. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there talking to the nurse and she makes a cup of tea and cookies. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm saying to myself, this lady better not ask me if I want cookies and tea again because it may not be pleasant. But it was actually for her because she said that, Miss Moore, she said, I'm just amazed that you're not crying. You're not, just having a meltdown. She said, usually when we tell our patients that they've been diagnosed with cancer, she said, they're just like all over the place. I say, well, I don't believe I have cancer. So I know that you're the doctors and God put you all here for a reason, but I still don't believe I have cancer. But if that's what you all are saying, come on, just tell me because I have things to do because I'm getting ready to go to Afghanistan on, I think, July. It was around the end of July. She said, no, ma'am, you won't be going to Afghanistan. I said, why can't I go to Afghanistan and you start my treatment when I come back? She said, no, it doesn't work like that. She said, you have to get your treatment now and you won't be going to Afghanistan for at least another 3 years. And I just got silent. I said, ma'am, you don't understand. I'm getting ready to get laid off. I don't have a job and my job is located in Afghanistan and I'll be making $200,000 a year. And you all are going to release me so I can go to Afghanistan. My husband and I and my son, we had talked about how we was going to meet up in Dubai. We don't say what we was going to do. I'll come home every 6 months for 29 days. And we had it all laid out. I was like, okay, God. I said, I know that I'm supposed to be rich. And this is my way of escape. So you need to do something with these doctors so that I can be released to go to Afghanistan because this is what I'm getting ready to do. Well, anyway, of course, that didn't happen. I didn't go to Afghanistan. But as I was going through and I was talking to all the doctors, and I thank God because it's like all the doctors, the oncologist, the surgeon, the radiologist, everybody that I encountered, they were so nice. They were understanding. And I just thank God for them because they helped me to get through this also. Um, when I had the lumpectomy, and it was a breeze. I mean, of course, I was out of it when I had my lumpectomy back in August of 2012, and I started my chemo. I had to do chemo and radiation, so I started my chemo, and it's like at every session, I was like, God, why am I here? I don't need to be here. I don't want to be here. In the first session that I had, I heard God. Well, I didn't know it was God in the beginning because I was sitting there and I was just typing on my laptop and I'm like looking around at these people looking sad. I was like, God, this is not where I need to be. I don't need to be here. I don't want to be here. But I heard the voice of God say, if you encourage others, watch what I do for you. So I'm like, okay, I heard that. At that time, I didn't know it was the voice of God. So I went over and I asked another lady, did you hear somebody say something about encouraging others? And she looked at me strange, like, no. And it was a nasty no. So I looked at another lady. She was like, gave me this look like, you better not ask me anything. So I didn't even ask her. So I looked over at the nurse and I said, ma'am, did you hear anything? She said, no. I said, okay. So I just went on back to doing what I was doing, put my headphones back on, and I heard it again. And I was like, okay, God, so what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? It's like encourage others and watch what I do for you. So it was this one lady that looked at me mean and was like, don't come over and ask me. She was having difficulty with her machine. So I'm like, okay, should I help this lady? The nurse is just sitting there and she's looking at the lady with the problem. So I get up and I go to the restroom. I took my machine. I went on to the restroom. So as I was coming back, I had to pass her. And I said, ma'am, do you need help letting up your chair? No. It's supposed to be quiet in here when we're doing our treatments. I don't want to be bothered. Please go have a seat. So I was like, okay. I went straight on to my seat. So she finally got up and she was going to the restroom. She got to the edge of the chair and her machine like fell over in her lap. And the nurse just sat there. I'm like, is this nurse going to get up or what? But she never got up. So she finally got out of her chair. And as she was in her chair, my treatment was finishing up. So I went over, I tore a piece of paper off and I put, Jesus loves you. And I sat in her chair as I'm, getting ready to leave or whatever. So as I'm leaving, my back is turned and I hear her ask the nurse, who put this in my chair? And I ain't turned around. I say, God, now you told me to put that note in her chair. So you better do something because I'm not going to turn around. So the nurse said, Miss Moore, did you put that note in her chair? I said, yes, I did. So I turned around and I went over there and I apologized. I said, ma'am, I said, I don't know where your faith is. I say, but I believe and I think I heard from God. So I put that there. And I say, I just want to encourage you because it seems like you're having a difficult time. You're not having a good day. And tears just came rolling down. And she started telling me about how her husband was mean to her ever since he found out she had cancer. Her kids wasn't there for her. And she just felt like she was all alone and blah, blah, blah. And, I hugged and I told her, I see you for your next treatment, which was in 21 days. So the next treatment came. She wasn't there. I said, did she get her treatment early or what? And the nurse told me, she said, no, Miss Moore, her husband and she came in 2 days prior to me because her husband and her son was taking her on a trip. So she came to get her treatment early. And now remember, this is the same lady who was mean, saying the husband was mean to her. She was mean to me because her husband was mean to her and her kids wasn't there. But here it is 21 days later, well, probably 19 days later, she was able to hook up with her family and go out and, bond as a family. So that was my first encounter. And I had another encounter where this lady, she was talking about suicide. She didn't tell me, but the spirit told me as I looked at her, I knew something was wrong with this woman. And I said,
is this was someone in your group?
No, this wasn't a group. This was just the actual chemo sessions. And,
Okay, so in your sessions, I think they're different from mine. Were y'all all like in one room, kind of like everybody just could see everybody?
Yes, yes. We were all in like one big floor and we had our, chairs or whatever, and everybody was getting their treatment. But people, they were kind of coming in at different times, and then some were longer than others. Mine was like four and a
Right.
half hours, but it was some that took like 6 hours. So,
Right.
but it was basically the same people that we saw every time we went in for the treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
and okay, so I'm sorry about the lady. Go ahead.
yeah. But anyway, she went on her little vacation with her husband and saw her the next session, and she was all smiles or whatever, and she thanked me, just for encouraging her. She apologized for being mean, but she said she didn't know how to respond because how she didn't know how I could come up in there, talk on the phone with people, laugh and giggle, and I'm sitting there getting chemo, and I could die, I could get sick, and just all kind of crazy stuff. I say, no, I don't believe in any of that. I say, I don't know where your faith is, but I still don't believe I have cancer. And I told her that. She was like, but you're in here getting chemo. I said, I know. I said, but I still don't believe I had cancer. I still believe I'm on this journey for somebody else. And you're one of those people who I'm on this journey for. So my next encounter was somebody that wanted to commit suicide. And the spirit told me that, about, I just heard suicide. So I talked to the lady, and she was, kind of quiet. I don't want to be bothered, but I need to talk to someone. So I called the nurse. I was like, I think she needed to talk to someone because she's going through. And she was like, are you speaking with her? I said, yes, but she seems very disturbed, and I think she needs like psychological help. And she was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. So when the nurse walked away, I said, ma'am, I said, is everything okay? Do you need prayer? And she was like, I need a lot of prayer, and I just don't want to be here no more. I just want to, I just want to give it up. I don't know why God put this on me, and I do everything right. I treat people right. Why am I going through this? And this is God's fault, and blah blah. I mean, she was just going on and on. And I said, well, so how do you feel about yourself? And she said, I'm just a nobody. I don't have anybody. Blah. I mean, she was just going on and on. I said, ma'am, I say, look, I say, God loves you. I say, I don't know you personally, but I love you too. I said, so you're going to have to just know that you're more than what you think you are. I said, you can overcome this. You will overcome this. I said, we're going to be in this together. And she said, okay. She said, well, I just want to also let you know that I was thinking about, in a couple of days to just take myself out of the world. I say, huh? And I remember I heard the word suicide earlier in my spirit. And she said, yeah, I just want to take myself out of the world. I said, well, no, you don't have the power to do that. I say, God gives life. You can't take your own life away from you. And she was like,
Mhm.
yeah, but I said, yeah, God gives life and that more abundantly. So I said, you need abundant life. So you're going to remain here to be for your family, friends, whoever. I said, because you got a testimony that you're going to share with somebody. I say, I don't know if I'll ever see you again when we finish our treatments. I say, but you're going to bless somebody with your testimony because you're not going to take yourself out. So we talked, for a little while the treatment was going on, and she cried and I cried, and we finished around the same time. So we walked out together, and she was just telling me some of her issues about, her personal life and her same thing, kids, and well, it was her boyfriend, and her job, and things like that. And we just hugged, and
Mhm.
but when she came back to the next treatment, she was okay, but I still know she needed work. So I prayed with her again, and I didn't see her anymore because I only had 4 treatments, and I'm not sure how many she had. But that last treatment, when I saw her, she thanked me, and I told her, don't thank me, thank God, because I can't do anything, and I know that God told me to encourage others and watch what He do for me. So I just kept on going treatment. Then here comes the radiation. So I
Mhm.
went through all my radiation treatments, and it was more difficult than the chemo. The chemo, I didn't have any problems with the chemo. I did see
Mhm.
people, in there sick, throwing up at sitting in the chair and just all kind of stuff. And I say, God, I definitely don't supposed to be here because none of this, I'm not affected by any of this. I don't know why would you put me in this situation? I don't want to be here. But, in the end, I realized that what God told me on my first treatment, if you encourage others, watch what I do for you. I say, God, but I still don't believe I had cancer. I mean, it's for somebody else. And to this day, I still believe that. Even though I went through my chemo, even though I went through my radiation, I still
Mm-hmm.
believe that I was healed back in February when they couldn't find anything. And they had me in there for that whole day from 7:30 to 4:30 trying to find something. They say they found something, but I don't believe they did. But anyway, I had to go through this because if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't have been able to touch the lives of the people that I touched during those treatments.
Right.
And even with radiation, it was people there who um, just was. It's just so many angry people out there in the world, and you just don't know. They're hiding behind this shell, this shadow, and you'll never know just looking at them until you actually sit down and talk to them and just be in tune with the spirit. That's why it's so important to have a relationship with God, because you just never know who you're going to encounter. And I tell my son this all the time: watch who you hang around, stay prayed
Right.
up, put God first, because you just never know who you're going to encounter and what you're going to have to do for that
Or who's
person.
watching you.
Exactly. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, God, I'm gonna stop complaining. And it became the point where it was like I got excited to go to chemo. I was excited to go to radiation every day. And it was just like, okay, God, I thank you for putting me in this, but why am I going through this? And after all of this, now remember, my main goal was not, I couldn't have cancer in my mind because I was going to Afghanistan to make $200,000 a year. And my husband, we was going to do this and we was going to do that. And when
Right.
I finished everything, when I finished all my chemo, my radiation, went through my follow-ups, and I said, okay, God, so I need to know what this is, what's going on. And what God told me was I was putting my trust and money in another man, in a company, to take care of me and my family, when that's not how he set the system up. God said he shall supply all our needs according to his riches and glory, not to Sabrina riches or CSC's riches from Afghanistan to provide for my family. So I was like, oh my goodness, okay, Lord, I see it now. All the while I'm going through, and even when I was going through chemo and everything, that never left my mind. Afghanistan stayed in my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm going to Afghanistan. I'm making $200,000 a year, and we gonna be out of debt. We gonna that. It was just, that's all I could think about. And I said, okay, God, I learned a lesson that it's so important for you to remain humble, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship with God, first of all, then remain
Right.
humble and know who you are in Christ. Because if you don't know who you are, somebody will tell you who you are, whether it's right or wrong. So those were lessons that I learned. And some of the greatest challenges that I faced while I was going through was how my son was going to react. How, I was worried about my job and, finances and all this kind of stuff. But my son, when he finally found out, I didn't tell him in Virginia. We took a trip down to Georgia, my hometown, so I could tell my mom. And I was going to tell my mom and my son at the same time. But of course, one of our nephews, he broke the news to my son before I could when we got there. So he came inside. He was like, Mom, why are we here? I said, we came to visit the family. And, I need to talk to your grandma about something. He was like, Mom, do you have breast cancer? I was like, that's what the doctor said, but I'm not receiving that. He said, is that why we came? I said, yeah, because I didn't want to tell Mom over the phone. And he said, okay, well, you're a strong woman. The boy went back outside and started playing basketball. And I was
How old was
like,
Aaron at that age, that time?
12. He was 12 at that time.
12.
Actually, he was 11. Yeah, he was 12. He was 12. He had just turned 12 in April of that year. But he was like, okay, so, and he was such an encouragement to me. He even brought some of his friends to the house, and they talked to me about it and was, oh, we're sorry, we're gonna be praying for you, and blah blah blah. And it was just an amazing journey for me. I had no sadness. I had no um pain. The only time I really had pain was when I took my Neulasta shot, because my white blood cells were low, so I had to take that after every chemo treatment. And the only thing I would get like achy bones or whatever, and they told me to take Claritin. So that's all that, and I had no other pain. No, I mean, it was just like a smooth sailing journey for me.
Right.
And all I did was
But isn't
encourage
it
others.
Isn't it
Isn't it
amazing
amazing
how
how
strong our
strong
kids
our
are?
kids are? Yes,
We
very.
we we try to protect them so much, but they encourage us because I experienced the same thing, that you did with Sedasia. So yeah, the kids are resilient. That I sometimes don't think we give them enough credit in what they can handle when it comes to the parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is so true. And I can't leave my husband out. He was, I know behind the scenes, he probably was having crying spells and attacks and stuff, but I never seen him cry. I never hear him say anything negative to me about the cancer.
Mhm.
He always encouraged me. He always, said, you're gonna get through this. God is real. You got to increase your faith in God, blah, blah, blah. And that helped me. And even around my family, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, even Facebook world, because I would put some of my stuff out on Facebook. And
Mhm.
also the spirit told me to put an encouraging word on Facebook every day. And every day when I would put something on Facebook, somebody came out. They would inbox me. They would text me, oh, I
Mhm.
needed that today. Oh gosh, that was for me. And I was like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. But it was like, why did I have to go through this journey to encourage somebody? Even though all along in my life in the past, I've always encouraged people. I've
Yes.
always been like the peacemaker in situations. And that's just a gift that God has given me. And I thank God for it. But after that, that showed me how, it's so important to be closer to God, closer to your family, being a mother, being a wife. All that is so important. I know a lot of times, we have families that, we do stuff and we don't agree with them, the decisions they make, but they're still our family. Family is always going to be there. And it's
Yes.
like, I don't care what, you can have associates, you can have co-workers, but your family is always going to be there. I know mine is. I mean, I hope everybody's will, but I know my family will always be there for me. Even if I don't make the best decision in life, they're always there for me, encouraging me, telling me to go for it. You can do it, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I just have an amazing family. I have an amazing circle.
Yeah.
Everybody around me was just so encouraging. There were some what said negative things, and I told them, baby, I don't mean no harm, but can you just not call me, not text until I text you? I don't mean no harm, but I
Mhm.
can't be around negativity. All I need is
Mhm.
positive stuff because I'm on a
Right.
mission for God. I couldn't see it in the end, but I mean, until I got to the end, I say, but now I don't need any of that. And my circle was so powerful and
Right.
encouraging and positive. It was just like, it was just amazing. And all the time I would get, how could you be so happy? How could you be laughing when your hair fall out? How could you going through treatment? You going through chemo, you going through radiation. Why are you making jokes about it? And I even had one lady while I was in chemo, I was on the phone with my manager one day because I still worked while I was doing my chemo. I had my work
Really?
laptop and I was working while them 4.5 hours while I was doing my chemo. So my manager supervisor needed something. So I was on the phone with him and I made a joke about it. And when I got off the phone, she was like, I just want to let you know that you offended me. How can you be talking, making jokes about chemo when you're sitting up in here getting it yourself? I was like, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And before I left, I went and talked to her again. And she was like, oh, it's fine. She said, but I just don't understand how you can be laughing and joking when you're going through something like this. It's just not normal. I said, well, I'm not normal. I said, I'm not from this world. And I went on,
That's the message we
talked
get
to
all
her.
the time.
But and she was like, I wish I could be at the point where you at because I just have days when I just don't want to get out of bed. I have days I don't want to talk to anybody. And I actually gave her my number. I said, those days when you don't want to talk to somebody, call or text me. So that was another encounter that I had with while I was doing my radiation and chemo. And also, like 2 weeks before I found out that I had breast cancer, I was going in to have a breast reduction. And this part is funny because when I found out, I said, okay, God, oh, I don't have to pay for the breast reduction. They just cut both of them off while I'm in with my surgery. So we go in and talk to the oncologist, and he's telling me that I have an option. And of course, Tony's in there with me. And I say, I can have the mastectomy. I don't need just a lump second. You can cut both of them off. And I can can I just tell you how much I want cut off? And it's comical, but I was serious at that time. I was serious when I was talking to the oncologist. And Tony looked over at me. He said, "No, sir. You can just go right on and do the lump sectomy."
Tony said, "Don't mess with his property."
It was hilarious. But I just had a smooth journey. Like I said, I had no difficulties. Um, it was just, I just continued to surround myself with positive people. Always,
And that's really important too when you're
yeah.
going through something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I know that my mission during that journey was to encourage people. So I was constantly encouraging people. I was saying, God, give me people, show me names, give me faces so I can call those people, so I can, reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
And one morning I was driving into work, and my girlfriend, she lives in Florida, and I saw her face so clearly pop up, like right before my eyes on my way to work. And I was like, God. So I just started praying for her. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but it's something going on. So I'm just going to pray for her. And I sent her a message on through Facebook. And when I got to work, I saw that she had put on Facebook like 2 hours before I got to work. And it didn't take me 2 hours to get to work. So like around the same time when I was praying for her, evidently she was praying for me too, because she had put out on Facebook, she was praying for me and that how strong and powerful of a woman that I was. And I say, God, it's just so amazing when we don't know. And it's important also when God show you people or drop
Mm-hmm.
names in your spirit, you need to pray for those people. You need to call their names out because you don't know what's going on. You may not have all the details, but you know that you need to pray for that person at that particular time. Um, and the peaks and valleys during my journey, um, I really didn't have any valley moments. I really didn't. And we all know that life is about peaks and journeys, but we
Mm-hmm.
must remember that for every valley we have, there's always a moment when we're going to have our peak. So don't sit
Mm-hmm.
there and don't waddle in your valleys because that will not last. Your peak is coming. And
Amen.
I believe that someone gave that's a quote from someone. I'm sorry, I don't know who it is, but I remember getting it from somewhere a while back. And but my all my peak moments was through the whole journey when I could encourage others, when I could
Right.
encourage everybody. And it's like I was excited to go to my treatments and I didn't understand why, but all the while I know it was all God. It was nobody but God. And
Right.
even this day, as I look back on it, I say, God, I thank you. I say, what if I would have went to Afghanistan and got shot up, blown up, something? I mean, it's just like I don't know what God was saving me from, why I couldn't go over there.
Right. Right.
I know it wasn't okay. I'm gonna give you cancer, so you can't go to Afghanistan. That's not the way God operates. So it's the reason why my Afghanistan mission was disrupted, and I
Yes.
thank God for it because I don't know what it was, but He saved me from something, and I couldn't see it at that time because all I was thinking about was the money. And God has blessed me today with another job. I mean, I've been there a couple of years, but and it's around the same salary range. And I was like, God, I thank you, because it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, my Lord, what's going on in my life? And I just like the things that I ask for. Sometimes I don't understand why I'm asking, and it's all about the flesh and what I want in the flesh. And I say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm gonna stand on your word. I believe your word, but you say we can have the desires of our heart, and my desire is to travel, and I want to travel, and I want to travel, and I want to travel, and it takes money to travel. But with my son gone, and I don't know how God is setting me and my husband up, but I just thank God for it because that I was obedient during that journey. You know
Right.
that I don't even like saying cancer journey, but I'll say that cancer journey because it just changed my life. It changed some areas of my life that I'll never go back to, and that I'll never doubt
Mm-hmm.
God because I know that God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly, things that I can't even imagine. So
Right, right.
it was a blessing for me. A lot of people say it was, it's hard, it's a trial, and it's just so bad, and they're sick and they go through this. No, I didn't experience any of that. The only thing that I experienced, like I said, was when I had to get the new Leicester shot, and
Hmm.
I was kind of had achy bones. And during my radiation, over a certain period of time, of course, it burns because this radiation is light and it's gonna burn.
Right.
But I'll just take my little pad or whatever, my little pile, and put it there and be gone. So, but
Yeah, it's
that's the only thing that I really encountered during my journey.
and I always say that I mean, as I'm walking my journey, I always say this journey is not about me. It has nothing to do with me because like you said, God didn't give me cancer, but He's going to use it to get His glory.
Hmm.
So, I and the same as you, God have me encouraging people. I never expected to be doing this right here. This was never a dream of mine. I was supposed to be a supermodel. Yeah, I was too short to walk the runway, but who cares what they say? I was going to be a model. And that was my thought. But God uses what the enemy try to destroy us with, and He uses that for us, to get the glory. And in your situation, on your journey, He got the glory because you were able to minister to different people. And
Hmm.
me and my husband, as we shared a journey, the videos we used to do all the time,
Hmm.
we were able to, because we had people inboxing us too, about our God. And I'm gonna share this real quick before we close out. But when I had my first surgery, there was a nurse in there, and she was kind of like absent-minded, kind of like she's the first person I saw when I came out from under the drugs and everything. And she was like, "Where did I put this at? I know I just set it here." And I'm like, "Lord, this is the first person you you showed to me that I have to deal with." But after a couple of days, she said, in my 25 years of being a nurse, I've never seen anyone as strong as you. And in my head, I'm thinking, what did I do? I'm just living life. So,
Hmm.
we have the opportunity to encourage others as we're going through this journey. And because we're getting good food from our spiritual mom and dad, like Pastor Cynthia always says, protect your ear gate and your eye gate. And I think
Hmm.
when we do that, that helps build our strength up because God knows what He needs to, protect us to. Like you said, you don't know what He was protecting you from not going to Afghanistan.
Hmm.
But, it was something, regardless of what it was, it was all God.
Hmm.
So, but Sabrina, thank you so much. I want to thank you personally just for being there for me when I needed it, when I didn't know what to do and how to operate and everything. And like I said, your character really helped me in the beginning of my journey to, to be strong. Because like I said, when I first found out, I wasn't telling nobody. I was like, we're going to do this and just get it over with. But, just as God spoke to you, He spoke to me. So I want to thank you for your strength and being obedient to God, where you had the courage to share your story with others and to be there for others. I mean, that's what we're called to do. So for me and my husband and my family, thank you because
Hmm.
it really, gave me the strength to get through. When I had to get through, and the many phone calls and text messages that I gave to you. You were always there. So thank you for that.
No problem. To God be the glory.
Amen.
And a
Amen.
lot of times, we're encouraging people by our actions. We don't know
Mhm.
it. We don't have, sometimes we don't have to say anything, but it's the way that we carry ourselves. And, even if it's nothing but with a smile or, a head nod, you don't know how that can affect people, So it's important to always maintain a positive attitude, your demeanor. And it's life, and we're going to go through things. And yes, we're going to hear things that we don't like. We're going to disagree with things, but we need to regroup immediately and go back
Mhm.
and do the mission what God has called us to do, because we don't want to miss anybody. We don't want to miss nobody, because this world that
Right.
we're living in today and time, everybody needs everybody, because
Yes.
nobody slipping through the cracks. Whenever we see somebody, we need to witness. We need to, ask God, who can we speak to today? Who can we encourage today? Because people are going through and we don't even know it. And that's why it's important to maintain that character, maintain, that demeanor where you're approachable and people can come to you if they're having problems, and, just be honest. And, we just give them the word.
Right.
We have to be
Exactly.
ready at all times.
Right.
Mhm.
So we were at the end of our show. Sabrina, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story with the E&B audience. I know that somebody got something out of this. So I want to say thank you, and thank you.
It was my pleasure.
All right, all right. So guys, there you go. Sabrina Moore. She's an awesome, awesome person. So I'm quite sure that I know you guys enjoyed her story, and please share this video so that somebody else could be blessed from her story, from her journey and everything. Um, I want you to join me next Sunday at 6 p.m., where our guest will be comedian Tanya Lewis. She's a comedian. Tanya is an all around entertainer whose performance will have you cracking up as she shares her Christian experience. Tanya will share how God restored her after rejection, abandonment, rape, molestation, homelessness, identity theft, betrayal, and thoughts of suicide she's experienced in life. She will expound on how God showed her that He had a different plan for her life. God made her crooked path straight, and an opportunity to tell of His goodness and courage to share her story. So, again, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to our next meetup. You all have a blessed Sunday. Love you all.